The nervous system, judgment, and abstract reasoning. Planning and producing responses requires an ability to make sense of the world around us. Making judgments and reasoning in the abstract are necessary to produce movements as part of larger responses. For example, when your alarm goes off, do you hit the snooze button or jump out of bed? Is 10 extra minutes in bed worth the extra rush to get ready for your day? Will hitting the snooze button multiple times lead to feeling more rested or result in a panic as you run late? How you mentally process these questions can affect your whole day. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for the functions responsible for planning and making decisions. In the mental status exam, the test that assesses judgment and reasoning is directed at 3 aspects of frontal lobe function. First, the examiner asks questions about problem solving, such as, if you see a house on fire, what would you do? The patient is also asked to interpret common proverbs, such as, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Additionally, pairs of words are compared for similarities such as apple and orange or lamp and cabinet. Everyday connections, left brain, right brain. Popular media often refer to right-brained and left-brained people, as if the brain were 2 independent halves that work differently for different people. This is a popular misinterpretation of an important neurological phenomenon. As an extreme measure to deal with a debilitating condition, the corpus callosum may be sectioned to overcome intractable epilepsy. When the connections between 2 cerebral hemispheres are cut, interesting effects can be observed. The reason for this is that the language functions of the cerebral cortex are localized to the left hemisphere in 95% of the population. Additionally, the left hemisphere is connected to the right side of the body through the cortical spinal tract and the ascending tracts of the spinal cord. Motor commands from the precentral gyrus control the opposite side of the body, whereas sensory information processed by the postcentral gyrus is received from the opposite side of the body. For a verbal command to initiate movement of the right arm and hand, the left side of the brain needs to be connected by the corpus callosum. Language is processed in the left side of the brain and directly influences the left brain and right arm motor function, but is sent to influence the right brain and left arm motor functions through the corpus callosum. Likewise, the left-handed sensory perception of what is in the left pocket travels across the corpus callosum from the right brain, so no verbal report on those contents would be possible if the hand happened to be in the pocket. People who have had their corpus callosum cut can perform 2 independent tasks at the same time because the lines of communication between the right and left sides of their brains have been removed. Whereas a person with an intact corpus callosum cannot overcome the dominance of one hemisphere over the other, this patient can. If the left cerebral hemisphere is dominant in the majority of people, why would right-handedness be most common? The nervous system, diseases and disorders, neurodegenerative diseases, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis or ALS, multiple sclerosis or MS. A class of disorders that affect the nervous system are the neurodegenerative diseases: Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, Huntington's disease, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, multiple sclerosis, or MS, and other disorders that are the result of nervous tissue degenerations. In diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, or ALS, neurons die. In diseases like MS, myelin is affected. Some of these disorders affect motor function, and others present with dementia. Some are the results of genetics, such as Huntington's disease, or the result of autoimmunity, such as MS. Others are not entirely understood, such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Several diseases can result from the demyelination of axons. The causes of these diseases are not the same. Some have genetic causes, some are caused by pathogens, and others are the result of autoimmune disorders. Though the causes are varied, the results are largely similar. The myelin insulation of axons is compromised, making electrical signaling slower. Multiple sclerosis, or MS, is one such disease. It is an example of an autoimmune disease. The antibodies produced by lymphocytes mark myelin as something that should not be in the body. This causes inflammation and the destruction of the myelin in the central nervous system. As the insulation around the axons is destroyed by the disease, scarring becomes obvious. Guillain-Barré syndrome is an example of a demyelinating disease of the peripheral nervous system. It is also the result of an autoimmune reaction, but the inflammation is in peripheral nerves. Sensory symptoms or motor deficits are common, and autonomic failures can lead to changes in the heart rhythm or a drop in blood pressure, especially when standing, which causes dizziness. Other nerve disorders, infection, trauma, and congenital disorders can all lead to significant signs as identified through the neurological exam. It is important to differentiate between an acute event, such as a stroke, and a chronic or global condition, such as blunt force trauma. Responses seen in the neurological exam can help. A loss of language function observed in all its aspects is more likely a global event as opposed to a discrete loss of one function, such as not being able to say certain types of words. A concern is that such as controlling the muscles of speech may mask other language functions. The various tests within the mental status exam can address these finer points and help clarify the underlying causes of neurological loss. Damage to the nervous system can be limited to individual structures or can be distributed across broad areas of the brain and spinal cord. Localized, limited injury to the nervous system is most often the result of circulatory problems. The loss of blood flow to part of the brain is known as a stroke or a cerebrovascular accident, CVA. There are two main types of stroke depending on how the blood supply is compromised: ischemic and hemorrhagic. An ischemic stroke is the loss of blood flow to an area because vessels are blocked or narrowed. This is often caused by an embolus, which may be a blood clot or fat deposit. Ischemia may also be the result of thickening of the blood vessel wall or a drop in blood volume in the brain known as hypovolemia. A hemorrhagic stroke is bleeding into the brain because of a damaged blood vessel. Accumulated blood fills a region of the cranial vault and presses against the tissues in the brain. Cerebral palsy, or CP, is caused by an interruption to the normal development of a person's brain, leading to weakness of the muscles. Depending on the area of the brain that is affected, signs and symptoms will vary in the type and severity between individuals. Balance and coordination are often challenging due to the inability to control muscles. Traumatic brain injury, or TBI. Thousands of people are hospitalized each year for traumatic brain injuries. Brain injuries range from moderate to severe and include concussions. TBI, or traumatic brain injuries, can be caused by falls, automobile accidents, sports, assaults, and strokes. Investment has been made to educate people on how to prevent TBIs with a focus on concussions from sports.